Sanjay,
I think in a minute or so he should be joining us.
That's all right.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Shajuji, if you could take some screenshot from your end also, it'd be useful. We'd like to tweet about this event as well in our Twitter.
Yeah, sure. We'll do that.
I will also be taking, but let's get the best pick.
Yeah, sure. You the best.
No. You are a leading correspondent, I'm not a correspondent.
I'm not a correspondent. I'm a volunteer as a correspondent.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We will do that.
So I just
want to confirm that Benny Sebastian is also on the call, so we have all the questionnaires on the call.
Angela, can you take some screenshots? She is our, specialist.
Yeah. No
yeah, please. Thank you.
actually, Benny Sebastian is online.
Yeah, so all the questionnaires are on the call, so we're good to go. More than 200 people join already, so those are.
Hello, guys. We are just waiting for our Honorable Consulate General to join us. So immediately after he joins, we'll be starting our call. Thanks for patiently waiting.
I think he's online, Jos.
Oh, what's the name? Can you make him co-host, please? What's the screen name, Siri?
CG laptop.
CG laptop, okay. I'm making him a co-host, okay?
Wait.
Yes, CG sir, you are a host, so you can unmute.
Okay.
Yeah, CG is unmuted, okay.
Good afternoon, Honorable Consulate General Ambassador Sanjay Panda, for joining us during your hectic schedule. Thank you very much.
One minute, Josh. Let's see whether we can see him.
Yeah, he's here.
He's there.
Okay. Thank you.
You just want to go on first?
No, Josh, you start.
Okay.
Have my colleagues also joined in? Deputy Consul General Rajesh.
Yes, sir.
Naik.
Yes, sir. Me and Sumathi madam, both of us are here, sir.
Okay, wonderful.
All right, guys, we have more than 246 participants right now joined, and we are expecting another 200 to participate with us. But, without lacking any time, we are going to start. Good afternoon, everybody. Federation of Malayali Associations of Americas, popularly known as FOMA, is the largest organization representing Keralite diasporas in the United States and Canada. FOMA represents all these Malayali community through our more than 80 member organizations throughout the United States and Canada. We involve in the socio-political aspects of our Malayali community here. Also, we engage with them in their hardships and concern. We always share our earnings with our fellow human beings. Particularly, we were able to provide more than 40 homes during the unprecedented flooding calamity that happened in Kerala. Also, we involved with the many aspects of our Keralite's life in the United States, and we conduct seminars, webinars, and many empowering and educative and informative seminars for the women and the youth here in the USA. Our activities involve charities also here in the United States as well. We have helped many people and many organizations. And right now, immediately after the outbreak of COVID-19, we have conducted many webinars, especially with our Union Minister for External Affairs, Mr. Honorable V. Muralidharan. Also, we have conducted interactive session with the Atlanta Consulate General and with the Chicago Consulate General as well. After the outbreak of COVID-19, we FOMA set up a task force to help the victims of COVID-19, and under the able leadership of FOMA executives, Mr. President, Mr. Philip Chamathil, Treasurer, Mr. Shinu Joseph, Vice President Vincent Bose Matthew, Joint Secretary Saji Joseph, and Joint Treasurer Mr. Jane Matthews. Also, we have a person from New Jersey named GB Mola Prabhu Thomas, who is leading the task force activities of FOMA. So right now we have this Consulate General, Honorable Consulate General from San Francisco joined us. This Western Region call has been conducted by our 11 member organizations in Western Region. Kerala Association of Washington, Kerala Association of Las Vegas, Sacramento Regional Associations of Malayalis, Oruma, California, Malayali Association of Northern California, Arizona Malayali Association, Kerala Association of Colorado, Bay Malayali, Valley Malayali Arts and Sports Club, Kerala Association of Los Angeles, Central Valley Malayali Association, and Inland Empire Malayali Association. So we are so thankful to our Consulate General Honorable Sanjay Panda for sparing his valuable time with us. Especially during this time, actually, we have come across with a lot of issues that's faced by our Malayali diasporas in the United States. And one of the major concerns immediately after the outbreak we have faced with the travel issues of our diaspora going back to India and coming from India to the United States. And we associate with all of our consulate general office and embassy, especially our San Francisco consulate is very helpful in our efforts to help our community. And this happened, we have a good relationship with the San Francisco consulate, and this happened because of the efforts done by our Joint Secretary, Mr. Saji Joseph, and a special thanks to Saji Joseph for his efforts in connecting with the San Francisco consulate. So right now, it's a pleasure to welcome our San Francisco Consulate General, Honorable Consulate General Ambassador Sanjay Panda, along with his team, Deputy Consul Rajesh Naik and a Consul for Culture, Ms. Sumathi Rao. And the actual program as follows. After my introductory speech, I will welcome the moderators, Mr. Ojas John and Srijit. They will invite our Honorable Consulate General to make his keynote address. And if his team wants to add any remarks with his permission, they can add also. And also we have 17 questions lined up and we have 17 people to ask these particular questions. And CG has already consented to answer all these questions. So that being that I will turn over my mic to Ojas John and Srijit to effectively conduct this chat session with the Honorable CG. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joss. This is Ojas John, President of KW Seattle. Before we go into the all-important Q&A session, we would like to introduce our chief guest on behalf of FOMA, all the Western Region Kerala organizations, and personally on Srijit's and my behalf. Please welcome the well-traveled, well-experienced thought leader in external affairs, our esteemed guest, Honorable Ambassador, Mr. Sanjay Panda, to address this large gathering of all Indian brethren.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm, in fact, delighted to be in your midst. In fact, I wanted to tell you how happy I am that you have got together all the associations, and it's such a huge gathering so that collectively we can address the concerns, the numerous questions that you have. But at the outset, I would like to mention that these are not normal times. These are difficult situations. And obviously what we are trying to do from the consulate, our different consulates and other places in the United States and our embassy in Washington, DC, is basically to take care of the demands of the community. But I can assure you at this point and seek your understanding to the fact that our registrations have already exceeded 35,000 and is expected to reach 40,000 as we approach the third phase in the month of June of evacuations. Having said that, people who have been evacuated so far is less than 4,000. And you can well imagine how we'll be able to reach that number and evacuate everybody. So the fact remains then we'll have to accept this, that not everyone can be evacuated. However much we want, we cannot do it, because the number of flights which have to be put in operation to take back everybody is phenomenal. And by the time we complete this schedule, for all you know, the normal the scheduled flight operations might start. So this is the premise with which I wanted to tell you that we have to have this understanding. And of course, there are questions which are asked: how are people selected then in that case? So far, what we have done in the first two phases, in fact, we are now in the second phase. And of course, there are some additional flights in the second phase, which will commence from 6th onwards, 6th of June till the 15th of June. And after that, again, we will probably have the third phase going on. But so far, what has happened is we have been using a random selection computerized process of selecting people in different categories. It is not that all are put together and a selection is done. There are 7 different categories. For example, medical emergencies, family emergencies, death cases, the people who are losing their H-1B status and wanting to go back. And then, of course, there are stranded visitors who are here, the elderly people, the pregnant ladies, so and students. So there are different categories under which we have the, the random selection process. And then if there are any other emergency cases came, we have very few numbers whom we try to accommodate as the flights just before the flights left. But that has been a challenge, and a real challenge, because a lot of people seem to have emergencies, and we well appreciate that it's a fact, but still we have our own constraints. In fact, when the flight for Kochi left the other day, I was really very happy to see my dear friend Saju Joseph there at the airport and trying to, bringing a little semblance of everything was very disciplined, seamless way it happened. There were people who were waiting to board, but I really appreciate the community support when we are embarking on such a huge operation. In fact, just wanted to tell you that we at the consulate are almost working round the clock to attend to this issue. So I will, since we have a limited time, because I have to get into another video conference at 3 o'clock, and we have time till 3 o'clock, what I'll do is I'll stop here and I'll take questions. Whatever questions you said, there are already, you have 17 questions, and beyond that, if also people have other questions, I can see some questions coming up in the chats also, which could also be taken around and posted, and I'll be able to answer those. So with these words, I'd like to thank you once again for organizing this. This is a major community initiative, and I'm delighted to interact with you for the next 45 to 50 minutes. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. This is Srijit, I'm the president of Manka here in the Bay Area. I want to thank everybody who joined us today for being part of this. And along with that, we also know that there are 2 other dignitaries with us, our dear Deputy Consul General, Shri Rajesh Naik, and also Counsel for Community Affairs, Srimati Sumathi Rao. I want to welcome both of you, and we all understand how busy your days are these days, working throughout the day and night. So really appreciate that you all taking the time to be with us today. So for the audience, we had over 150 questions collected across these different organizations, and we kind of have combined it into these 15, 17 questions. So each one of the community organization leaders will be asking those questions on your behalf to our council officers who have graciously joined us today. So with that, I think we can get started with the questions. Ojas, over to you to invite the first questioner.
To add to what Srijit said, after the 17 questions are answered, if we have time, we will open up the floor and we will select some questions from the chat. Unfortunately, we won't be able to answer any questions of the personal nature, but any generic questions we can field to the CG. With that, we'll go to the first question here. The first question is coming from Seattle. It's going to be the question is going to come from the former Western Region Chairman and Task Force Coordinator, Mr. Paul John.
Thank you, Ojas. On behalf of our community, we are grateful to Vande Bharat mission and all efforts of Indian government and San Francisco Council General. You have already helped more than 100 of the most needy people reach Kerala in the first round. Thank you, Council General. My question is, can you please share what you know about future direct flights to Kerala? If possible, could you please share how many travel requests to Kerala are still pending?
Okay, I will be able to answer this question pertaining to the jurisdiction of San Francisco jurisdiction, because I do not have access to the data of the other jurisdictions. But I wanted to tell you that the first flight which went to Kerala, the first flight out of US, it went from San Francisco. And I'm very happy that it went from San Francisco, because we have a major community, Malayali community, under the jurisdiction of the San Francisco Consulate. But this was a Pan-American flight. That means people who are registered under other consulate jurisdictions and Washington, DC also traveled and went from here. Total 104 people actually traveled to Kerala in the first flight. But at this point, from our jurisdiction, there are total 418 people who are waiting to travel back to Kerala. 418, 418. But having said that, during this first flight, some of the people, we approached them and probably they were having some second thoughts about traveling, so they didn't come back to us. So maybe the numbers might go down. But again, I must say that now that OCI has opened up, and there are 4 categories of people, OCI card holders who are eligible to travel, this number might go on further. So the OCI card holders, I would just urge you, those who have not registered, please go ahead and register urgently. This is very important. So there are 418 people who are waiting to travel back to India as of now.
Thank you, sir. The next question.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm answering. I hope I answered the first question to his satisfaction. Or was there anything else left there to be answered? I think no. I think
no. That's great. That's great. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Yeah. So we'll move on. The next question is coming from San Francisco, from the former Vice President, Mr. Vincent Bose Matthew. Vincent, if you can unmute yourself and go ahead with the question, please.
No, he's unmuted. Go ahead, Vincent.
Please go ahead. Can we
go on to the next one? Vincent might have an issue. Or just do you want to call it the next one?
Or just go ahead.
Offline.
He lost connection.
Looks like it.
Sreet, go ahead with the next question.
Okay, so we'll move on. So the next one's from LA San Fernando Valley. It's the executive member of Valley Malayali Association of Southern California, Rachel Sakaria. Rachel, go ahead with your question, please.
Rachel, you have to unmute yourself first. You have to unmute yourself. Rachel, I can't hear you. You have to unmute yourself.
Yeah, she's unmuted.
So the host had, I just want to bring to your quick attention that I wasn't able to unmute myself because the host had unmuted me. So just to keep that in mind. Thank you, sir. Thank you, madam, for being in our presence today. I just have a quick question about any thoughts that you may have on when commercial flights to India, besides those under the Vande Bharat mission, will commence, and whether the consulate is working with other airlines to do this.
Rachel, I wish I had the answer to this question, because the consulate, or for example, the embassy and other consulates, we actually are eager that the flights commence as early as possible. But unfortunately, it's not in our hands. It's a dynamic situation, evolving situation. As you know that now the lockdown in India has been extended up to the end of June in the containment zone, and it will be opened in the other area in phases. But while that is there, obviously, it's a very difficult scenario for international flights to commence, although there's no mention about it. But it will be assessed on the basis of how the situation evolves, and the decision will have to come from India. But I just wanted to tell you that, it's a commercial thing. So it cannot be closed indefinitely. Everyone has to open. I mean, along with, as Prime Minister Modi said, is the question of both life and livelihood. And the companies have to thrive. They cannot just go out of business. So I hope it opens quickly. But I can't give you an answer at this stage. And I just tell you, it's not in our hands. And we are not, of course, interacting with airlines to ensure that it opens. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, sir. I think Mr. Vincent Bose is back. So he's the Vice President of FOMA based in San Francisco. Vincent, you can please go ahead with your question.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. Good afternoon, sir. Unfortunately, FOMA's president cannot be here in this meeting because his older sister passed away in India this morning. Let me come to the question. What are the options for those who are in India to travel back to US? We understand Vande Bharat mission allows travelers. What are the process to apply for air tickets? Air India website is not having any reliable information in an easy accessible way.
Thank you, Vincent. I'll give you reliable information, and I'm very happy that there are 395 participants today who are here. And as community leaders in the Malayali community, you'll be spreading this word across also. Now, the process has been streamlined about getting people back from India to the US. See, all the flights, evacuation flights, which are going out of the United States have been given permission to get people from India as well to the United States. Earlier, the problem was the domestic flights were not there. So the outgoing flights from India were going from Delhi or Mumbai. And those, whenever they opened, there were a lot of people from Kerala, from Tamil Nadu, from Karnataka, who could not travel in these flights, other places of India. But now with the domestic flights opening, so it's become easier. And Air India is now opening the booking for the next phase, India time 30th. In fact, the Minister, Civil Aviation Minister, Honorable Hardeep Puri has tweeted, only I've seen from his tweet, that the flights bookings will open on the 30th. Why it is 30th in India is actually 29th here. So it should open, if it is midnight, it might have just opened. So what I wanted to tell you is that you have to quickly, promptly keep a tab and do the booking online, because the people are saying we're not getting the tickets because the tickets are getting filled up very quickly. Now there are 7 additional flights between 6th and 6th means the flight will probably leave on the 4th from India. So between the 4th and 13th, there will be 7 flights which will be coming from India to the United States. So those who want to book, the booking should open anytime soon, if not already open. You can book online on Air India, and you have to do it quickly because it will get filled up. That's what is the information I have at this point. I hope I have answered your question, Vincent.
Yes.
Thank you, Consul General. The next question is coming from Sacramento Regional Association of Malayalis President, Mr. Rajan George.
Good afternoon, Consul General. My question is with regards to Vande Bharat mission. The question is, now that the local flights are starting to operate in India, will it be possible to arrange connecting flights, especially from Chennai and Bangalore to Kerala airports, for travelers coming from USA as part of Vande Bharat mission? If yes, can the travelers avoid quarantine at the port of entry in India and do the quarantine in Kerala?
The answer is very simple. The answer is no. The airport where you land in India, unless you're going by a flight which is directly connected to a feeder flight related to this evacuation. For example, if you are going to, let's say, Hyderabad. So if a flight goes technical halt in Delhi, then goes to Hyderabad, then goes to Kochi, that's all right. Those are feeder flights in the same connection. So that means all those people coming from abroad are going straight. They are nobody from India is joining those flights. But if you are going to get down in Hyderabad or in Chennai or in Bangalore, then want to take a domestic flight up to Kochi or Thiruvananthapuram, the answer is no. For the simple reason that without your getting quarantined, you cannot be put on a domestic flight with other passengers. You have to understand, anybody could be asymptomatic and you're traveling with in the plane. So that is not an option. But now the quarantine arrangements, in fact, the kind of feedback which we are receiving from the people, in fact, all those who are traveling, they're sending us wonderful messages of the quarantine arrangements which are made. In fact, the people, especially in Hyderabad, when they were given at a price of 3,000 rupees, including all meals, and staying in a 5-star luxury hotel, I think people are very happy. So, and it's all everywhere. The arrangements are very good. Prices have been negotiated. And now it's only 7 days institutional quarantine in the hotel and 7 days you can quarantine at home. But again, during the home quarantine period, you cannot travel by domestic flight to your final destination. Seek your understanding on this.
Thank you, Consul. Thank you, Consul General. We got a lot of questions on OCI. Coming up with a very important question on OCI is the Bay Malayali president from Fremont, California, Mr. LeBon Matthew.
Good afternoon, CG.
Sorry, before the question, can I suggest if there are similar questions, which I see many questions popping up also in the chat, if somebody could collate those questions and put, there are many similar questions I can see, and put them together, I mean, I can answer at one go also, I mean, subsequently. So that's why I wanted to request that please monitor these chats as well.
Sure. Labon is going to monitor our chat, so he's going to do after his call, after his question. Thank you.
Thanks.
Good afternoon, CG. Yes, I will be doing that part as well. And as part of it, my question is about little children, minor US citizens, but having Indian visa. It's about them. And this question has two parts. And the part one is, right now, OCI, those with OCI can go with their parents to India, but unfortunately, the message we have is the kids with visa cannot go accompany their parents who are Indian citizens. Especially, this is critical for those H1 holders whose visa was denied and they need to repatriate immediately, but they cannot carry their little children. That's the part one of the question. And part two of the question is slightly reverse order. The little child is in India already and their visa is expired. What is the process to get a renewed visa for them?
Okay, I'll answer these questions very straightforward. You see, when the flights commenced and initially after seeing the huge number of registrations of Indian nationals, it was decided that in the phase 1 flights and even phase 2, that initially it would only be Indian nationals, because even the OCI cards, if we take them, it was becoming too much. But then OCI cards opened subsequently midway through phase 2, and we welcome this decision. But you are right that there are some children or infants who do not have OCI cards, but instead they have visa, or we can issue them emergency visa at the consulate immediately, but unfortunately they cannot travel. In fact, in a couple of cases, when they were traveling by a special chartered flight, and we could manage to get an exemption because they were born here only a month ago. So those are like after post-COVID-19 lockdown babies. So they obviously, even we were closed, so the OCI cards couldn't have been even processed. In any case, I mean, OCI also takes some time. So there's exceptional circumstances, but in the charter flight, so that could be cleared. So what we suggest now, this is a genuine problem. There are a lot of people who have approached us. So what we are suggesting, that you send us the details and we will try to seek an approval, because a blanket exemption cannot be granted for simple reason that when you are giving visa, it is actually, you cannot say only Indian national visa holders I will allow, and for non-Indian origin visa holders I will not allow. Who is an Indian origin? I mean, it's such a huge number. I mean, how can you? Then it becomes a major issue. So selectively, genuine cases we could recommend and try to get an approval. That's the only thing I can tell you about these cases. We are sympathetic, we understand, and the consulate is totally with you. And we have been in discussion with our ministry trying to find a way out. But obviously a blanket clearance cannot be given. On the second issue, it's very simple. And you go to the FRRO website, the Foreigners Registration Office in India. There is no direct, no public contact, nothing is necessary. Just go onto the website. When you go to the FRRO website, the opening page tells you that if you are stranded with visa, this is a very simple process. Fill up these forms, pay this much, and online, everything is online. And you immediately get the response and the, visa extension, so that there is no inconvenience. And in any case, there is no, even there are people who could not do it for some situation or some problem. I mean, nobody is getting penalized for that. So at least your intent should be clear that you have initiated, or there was some technical glitch, you could not do it, but you initiated, and it's a very simple process. So check the website first, and I would suggest that spread this message around. FRRO website, right as you click, you'll get it on the front page what to do. Thank you.
Thank you, CG.
Thank you, sir. I think that was the most widely asked question when we collected it, right? I mean, it was around that one subject. So moving on, we have our next question, which is coming from Manteca in Central Valley. And it's asked by Manu Peringel, who's the secretary of Malayali Association of Central Valley of California, or MACC. Manu, please go ahead.
Okay. Good afternoon, CG. So I have another question regarding OCA card.
Yeah.
Most people who have secured an OCA card were at the understanding that it is a permanent visa to India, only to realize later that it has to be renewed based on certain age groups and passport validity, etc. So can you please elaborate on the current OCA rules for minors and seniors?
Okay, thanks. Although it is not related to evacuation, I'll answer this question because there is this lot of confusion. But let me first of all tell you, somehow, because the word has spread so much, that we are making a mountain out of a molehill. See, what is happening is, you see, even a child, when a young child, even US gives a passport for 5 years. Why so? Why don't they give it for 10 years? Because the facial features change. So out of experience, we found out that kids, their features change. So what the rules say, these rules apparently are not new. Those were there since 2006, but they were never enforced. So now for the first time, we said we'll enforce it. We will enforce it. And again, that started in a different way. It is not that Government of India suddenly decided one fine morning that we'll enforce it. It is the airlines who actually received a notification from IATA. IATA is their regulatory body, saying that all of you have to strictly abide by the immigration and requirement. Otherwise, you will be responsible for getting the passengers back. So they suddenly realized that the Government of India has this rule since 2006, which we are not following, and government was also not enforcing. So they started enforcing it. Then we realized, yes, this is a rule which Government of India had made, so has to be enforced now. So the rule is very simple. Till the age of 21, whenever a child or whenever somebody, a OCI card holder, changes the US passport, you have to reissue the OCI card. And this reissue is a very simple process. You have to fill up the reissue of OCI card, and the entire process takes only 7 days. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, the payment involved is only $27 probably. So that one can check on the website. So this is a reissue. Change of passport, you have to reissue the OCI card. Until 11, you have to. Okay. Until it is you attain the age of 21. Between the age of 21 and 50, you don't have to bother at all. Irrespective of the number of times you change your US passport, you don't have to change your OCI card between 21 and 50. And after 50, I mean, if you change your passport, US passport, you have to reissue your OCI card only once. So after the age of 21, effectively, you have to reissue your OCI card just once. The implications are 7 days and $27. So there's no question of panicking. There's not a complicated thing. And I wanted to tell you why after the age of 50, because some of us lose our hair and look at a little different after 50. Not everybody, people say Malayalis look very young and they never get old, but not all people are as lucky as the Malayalis.
Thanks for the compliment.
No, there are exceptions also. We have Saju, who's struggling to keep his...
You should take a closer look at a lot of people on this call, sir, but we appreciate the compliment nonetheless.
Thank you.
Thank you, CJ. That was very clear, explained very well. Thank you. So next question on travel coming from Los Angeles. It's from the former bylaw committee chairman, Mr. Isho Sam Umman.
Thank you, sir. And you have explained in your opening remark about the Vande Mataram mission and the criteria of selection. That was my question first. What is the criteria of selection? But again here, the people who are registering, they do not have a column to convey the gravity or the emergency of the situation. So is there a possible they can put a comment on that? And more especially in case of death in the family, how can they convey to Consulate that they have a death in the family and would like to travel to India? What are the possibilities Consulate can do on this?
I'll tell you, as there's a very, which is what everybody is doing actually. You open the Consulate website, before you go anywhere, you'll get a banner, says that this is our helpline over the telephone, but telephone is difficult to get because with so many calls we're getting on an average about 1,200 calls every day. So you can imagine the difficulty. And there's an email address also given, oci2.sf@mea.gov.in. This you can check. I'm just saying this quickly, but I see Deputy Consul General in the chat has also mentioned this, given this email address. Or my email address, cg.sf. I see each and every email and forward it to OCI2 to reply. And we immediately record if there is a request and a death case, we record. But I'll tell you something. Yesterday, for example, the flight which left from CGI Chicago, I had a couple of death cases in my jurisdiction where somebody's father expired, somebody's mother expired, and I had to request my colleague, Consul General in Chicago, and he said the flight was totally full. Then I said, can they still, just one person of the family, and I'm just sending to Chicago, but they will wait if you can accommodate. But they already had 4 people, death cases waiting in Chicago to go. So total for one flight, after the flight was full, there were 6 death cases, out of which finally yesterday, last night, only 2 people could be accommodated in the flight. This is the unfortunate state of affairs. You cannot offload somebody to say that there is an emergency, but you can write to us. That's how we know. And if you say what category, when you say that I'm elderly, I'm pregnant, so that is, it goes into a particular so that the random selection process will go on. But at the same time, people have been writing email to us so that we keep them in an emergency category when we receive an email, especially on this kind of emergencies and not all. But I think it is time for me to also mention something. You see, in the next phase, although not specifically announced so far, there is a possibility that Air India might do direct booking of tickets on those evacuation flights. Now, this is a very important information which I'm sharing with you all. Now, if Air India opens its bookings, then there's no question of any random selection, no question of any intervention by us. So everybody is there to do the online booking themselves. The only problem is it might fill up very quickly. It might fill up very quickly. And after it fills up, what happens if an emergency arises? What happens if there is a death case which happens just 12 hours before the flight is to leave? So these are the things which we have flagged all this to Delhi, and the discussions are going on with Air India, whether they can keep an emergency quota to be filled up at the last minute, to keep just 5-6 seats for especially for death cases. So these are very difficult decisions, and especially given the fact that especially the flights which go out from San Francisco has only 225 seats. Of course, Chicago and New York are larger flights, 330, but this is a long range, so it doesn't have so many people. So I hope I have answered your question.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that answer. That again is another major concern for a lot of people. Moving along, next is a question coming from Seattle. It's being asked by Angela Grofi. She's the youth committee member of FOMA. She also should be credited for a lot of the technical work behind this event today. Angela, if you're ready.
Hi, sir. Good afternoon. So we received quite a few inquiries from within our community groups as to when will the consulate approximately begin the regular business of passport, visa, and OCI processing. And when you do begin, will the guidelines change in any way?
Well, Angela, thank you for asking this question. In fact, I thought of sharing this, but somehow with all these questions, I forgot about it. We were never closed, actually. In that sense, although the shelter in place was there, we always worked with the skeleton staff and all those people who are involved in evacuation and other things. And there are many people who are operating from home. But in fact, we are working much more than before. In fact, we are working almost round the clock. I mean, I and my entire team were actually almost sleeping for 3-4 hours and been working round the clock. But what has happened now, CKGS had to close down because of the fact that many people came from outside and handling the people and the documents, and especially visa was frozen. Visa and OCI were frozen at that point. So only emergency passports and emergency visa is what and miscellaneous services were being handled directly by the consulate, by our staff, not CKGS, not our service provider. Even at this point, although we do provide emergency visa, but still you cannot travel using the emergency visa. Some people want emergency visa to just keep it with them so that when it opens, they move by the first available flight rather than waiting to get a visa at that point. Although we have been assuring people that we'll give you visa immediately as soon as it opens. But still, some people want to take it and keep it in their pocket. So now we are opening. In fact, as we speak, the plans are afoot, and CKGS will be announcing very soon if they have not already announced. So from the 1st onwards, we are opening. That's from 1st is Monday, isn't it? Yeah. So 1st onwards, we will be opening, but there will be no public dealing, no walk-ins. Everything will be by over mail. And then we have a standard operating procedure which has been put in place. Every mail that comes in, that will be kept quarantined for 48 hours before being handled. And then only because it was almost closed for more than 2 months, we are expecting about thousands of OCIs and passport cases coming in at the same time. So the time frame will have to be extended. We cannot handle more than 200 OCIs per day. So but we anticipate about 1,000 coming in every day. So if it is 5 times, you can well imagine. Probably the OCI cards, instead of 6 to 8 weeks that we normally take because it comes from India with a mandatory period of 21 days before which it gets processed. So this may probably take about 3 months time now. We don't know, but we'll make this assessment after it comes, depending on the numbers. Passports also the same thing, and visa we are not going to process now, only emergency visa. I hope I've answered your question. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Next, a great question coming up, especially pertinent to the H-1B folks, coming from Arizona Malayali Association President, Mr. Sajith Taivalapil.
Namaste, sir. This question is on behalf of the H-1B community.
Yes.
So many of the H-1 community members, they are living in this country for several years. And because of this current situation, many of them lost their jobs and their visas got expired. And when they got selected to travel back to India as part of Vande Bharat mission, they are only getting 48 hours or less notice. And as you can imagine, it is very hard for them to prepare as they were living in this country for years. So can the consulate help any way to provide us a little longer day's notice, like at least a week or so?
Sajith, I wish, it's such a pertinent question. In fact, there are a couple of people who could not travel because they were given notice at the very last minute. You see, what happens? Okay, please put it on mute, whoever is not speaking. Okay, so what we try to do is, we try to get when the selection process was this computer sampling and all that, we normally with 5-6 days notice, we approach the people. But we don't have a choice actually, because this entire random selection process is done by service provider in India. And by the time we get it and we send it across, it has to be sent in phases because we do not know what is going to be the kind of response. Some people accept, some people reject. Only after the first slot accept or reject, then we move to the second. Of course, we provide a time frame. We normally provide even less than 6 hours, 8 hours for people to respond if you're willing to travel or not travel. So, but by the time the tickets get issued, it gets late. In fact, some people don't even get the tickets and we tell them, okay, come to the airport, you'll get it, because this is not online. Air India has to issue this manually, and which is a major challenge for them, for Air India. So that some people make it a point, okay, until and unless I get the ticket, I cannot wind up and take the risk of coming, because what if I wind up everything and come to the airport and suddenly find that I don't have the ticket to board the flight? Of course, we tell them that once you have the confirmation letter from the consulate and you have given your credit card authorization to Air India, ticket or no ticket, you will be put on the flight. You are there. It's in our list. But all this is going to change now, Sajid. This is what I'm going to tell you. Henceforth, probably, though not officially announced, there are all indications. I'm getting indications that Air India will start doing the booking directly. So if there's a flight leaving from here for Bengaluru on the 11th, and if the second flight for Hyderabad is leaving from the 15th, there are other flights leaving from other places, if the booking opens on the 3rd, then obviously you'll have more than a week's time to handle. But you have to first get the booking yourself, because then we won't have any role in the process, in the selection process. I hope this will get addressed. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, sir. That was really very insightful on that topic. We have our next question coming from Las Vegas, Nevada. It's being asked by Benny Sebastian, the secretary of Las Vegas, Kerala Association of Las Vegas. Benny, if you can unmute and speak.
Okay. Yeah, good afternoon, sir. Thank you for your time and presence and help for this situation. It is really appreciated. My question is, could you please explain the OCA reissue and the renewal guidelines? And with the current situation, how long is the processing time?
Sorry?
I'll repeat it for you, sir. It looks like there's a feedback. So the question is, can you kindly explain the OCI reissue or renewal guidelines? And with the current situation, how long would you estimate the processing time to be?
No, OCI, you see what happens, the OCI reissue and OCI issuance, obviously the time frame will be much longer than usual. Like earlier, we used to need about 10 days, 7 to 10 days for a OCI reissue. And of course, our website says 15 days because we keep a 3-4 days cushion. Normally, we get it within 10 days from India. We just have to clear in the print and send it. But now it will take a little longer. But having said that, anybody who has an emergency will be able to handle it on a fast track it. So we'll be able to handle it and fast track it. But OCI reissue, I feel that will still take about a month now.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
I just noticed that we have only 10 minutes left. So how quickly you can put it or put all the questions to me, I can answer.
We'll keep going as well as, yeah, or just go ahead with the next one.
Next question is coming from Folsom, from former National Committee member, Mr. Sijil Palaklodi.
Good afternoon, sir. My question is, in order to renew or extend H1 visas, Indian passport must have at least 6 months validity. Is there any Thalka emergency service available currently at the Consulate for speedy processing?
Yes, emergency services available. You send us in this kind of cases, we issue it very quickly. It's available. We have been doing it. Last 2 months, we have given passports with 3 days, 4 days notice. So we are doing it. But you have to send us an email and we'll tell you how to go about with it. But in any case, CKGS is opening, so you can fill up and we'll also process it quickly.
Great. Thank you. Next is coming from my own association, Malayali Association of Northern California, Manka, based here in the Bay Area. The question is being asked by Secretary Jackson Puyapada. Jackson?
Thank you, Srijit. Good afternoon, CG.
Good afternoon.
This question is related to the visitors, especially related to their passport. There are several visitors who are visiting US and have got stranded here with expired or close to expiration Indian passport. Under these situations, they will not be able to extend their US visa to stay here. Is there any help Consulate can provide to extend the passport validity easily in such cases?
Yes. Emergency passport services, those who are traveling on B2 visas, we do provide. B1, B2 visas, yes.
Thank you, Siji, for that.
So just to add one more thing to that, is that through the normal renewal processes, or is that also?
See, it is through the normal renewal processes, but we have to see the status and the reason. Usually, passport service is something which is provided based on jurisdiction. So visitors normally we don't take because they have to go back to India and do it. But now it is a very peculiar situation where they have to extend their US visa because they cannot go out of the country. So we understand that and we have taken it on. We have actually issued about 40, 50 such cases even during the lockdown when CKGS was not there. But now CKGS starts, you have to apply through CKGS, send it to us, flag the urgency, and then we do it.
Okay, so just the benefit of the audience in such cases, flagging it as urgent is very important.
Yeah, and any doubt on this, my colleague, Deputy Consul General Rajesh Naik, he will attend to this personally. He has been doing this. So even email could be sent to him at dcg.sf@mea.gov.in. It's all there in the website, so you don't have to note it down.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Next question on OCI coming from San Bernardino, from the IMEA President, Mr. Matthew Chaco.
Good afternoon, CG. My question is there an extension planned for the current OCI application realization date, which is ending on June 30th, 2020?
Yeah, June 30th was the date, and we have actually requested that it be extended up to the end of December. We're still waiting for a final communication, but most likely it will come. But so far, I cannot tell you anything officially. Has it come, Rajesh?
Yes, sir. It's been extended till 31st December 2020, sir. I just put it on the common chat also, sir.
Wonderful, wonderful.
We have put it on our website also, sir.
Oh, wonderful. See, so this is something which I was still waiting to hear from Delhi, but it has come and we have already put it on our website.
That's amazing. So what it means is that the relaxation date is now 6 more months extended for people.
Exactly. When you see, this is the kind of delivery that the consulate provides. Mr. Chaco posed a question and we delivered it even before this question.
Yeah, this is instant delivery of solutions. So in the interest of time, sir, we'll move on to the next question, which is coming from Seattle again, from Kerala Association of Washington, Secretary Jyotish Nair.
Hello, sir. Good afternoon. The question is related to the priority of the waiting, the people who are trying to fly. If a person on the waiting list, if they don't get into the confirmed list for the flight, would they get a priority treatment for the next flight? Also, the related question on the priority is if for the flights departing from San Francisco, is it possible to give priority to passengers from states under the CJSF jurisdiction?
The only flight which from my jurisdiction, which I took on as a Pan-American flight, that was the flight to Kochi. And for the simple reason that there was really a huge demand from the East Coast and other places, and they could only give one flight to Kerala. And that went from San Francisco. So I fought, but reluctantly I had to agree when all my other colleagues and put pressure saying that, no, these people have to come. In fact, my numbers were also much less than what I would have accommodated. So asking this question about whether those people who do not make it into this flight, whether they can be accommodated in the next flight, I don't even know when the subsequent flight to Kerala will be. And the second thing is, now that domestic flights have opened, you can go to Delhi and take a flight there. But then, as I mentioned, that most probably, Air India will start doing online booking directly. So in that situation, there's no question of our involvement or our getting into the picture. We won't even know about it, who is booking. The only thing is that you have to be registered, and Air India will have the registration list and they will take it. So there are how the software and how the mechanism will work is what is now being worked out in Delhi. So that's all I can share with you at this point.
Thank you, sir. As a follow-up, I just want to ask for even all the non-Malayalis also here. There was a repeated question asking whether folks coming under the SFO jurisdiction can be given priority.
No, they cannot be given. No, they are given priority. But when something is declared as a Pan-American flight, then obviously, however much I want, I don't get that privilege. So that's not in my hand. So that was the only flight which was not Pan-American. Now, if they decide my next flight to Bangalore and Hyderabad, they become Pan-American flights. I don't have a say in the matter, because since the flight goes here, if somebody travels from Florida to take the flight out from here, so be it. So that's a decision which you'll have to take. But then when Air India opens the booking, all flights become Pan-American flight. So they don't know that, look, you are based in San Diego, so you have to fly from San Francisco. You can't fly from Chicago. That Air India is not bothered. Whoever gives them, buys the ticket and, and is registered, they will go on the flight.
Thank you, sir. Fully understand. On to the last three questions here. From Kerala Association of Los Angeles Executive Member, Mr. Roshan Kuthenburi will ask the next question.
Good afternoon, CG. Thank you again for taking the time to, address our concerns. My question is, once an applicant registers to travel as a part of the Vande Bharat mission, is there a website or app or anywhere where they could get a status or confirmation of the application? Or in addition, is there an authentic source that you could recommend where they can also see information of inbound and outbound flights, for upcoming weeks or whatever their schedule is?
Yeah. The schedule is posted on our website and DC's website of whatever is announced. For example, now phase 2 additional flights are announced till 15th. It's already on our website. Some people are getting confused with what we say in our website and what Air India says in their website. But
Air India, what it says on their website, the confusion is becoming there because Air India is talking about the arrival date.
Okay.
They're talking about arrival date and arrival time in India. So people are saying, no, there's no flight on the 15th. The flight is on the 17th. Tell them, no, check it correctly. It says arrival time.
So we need to check in the CGISF website, right?
Please check. We are a little better off. Okay. But to answer your question, whether you can check, you see the speed at which this entire thing was done and the number of people involved. I mean, obviously, only thing when you register, you get a confirmation saying that you have been successfully registered. Just take a screenshot of that, and once it says it's successfully registered, you are registered. So there is no number or anything, a registration number or anything is not provided. But there are people who say that, look, it says successfully registered. Why is it my name is not there? Because we found it not there. There could be a technical glitch. And the person provided a photographer said you are successfully registered. So we got it done. So there are issues there. But I know it's not the best way that it's being done. But you can understand the pressure and the speed at which we are doing it and the magnitude of the issue. So bear with us. So you get it there. Thank you, Roshan.
Yeah, so one of the things that people have asked repeatedly is if we should register again because we haven't received any further notice.
I'm getting late for my other this thing. So
we have
very quickly we'll wind up in the next
2
minutes.
Yeah, sure. Next is Roy Matthew from Orima, California. He's the president of the organization. Roy Matthew.
Hi, good evening, sir. There are local businesses who are willing to help with needs back home in India with equipment and supplies, etc. Is the consulate thinking about partnering with any local startups or companies to provide logistical help to COVID-affected folks in Kerala?
You see, we are absolutely willing to get in touch with the state government and see what their need is and how it is being done. But if it is in the area of healthcare or pharmaceuticals and our immediate need, actually the need is getting projected from India, and accordingly we are working on it. But if you have a specific proposal, I suggest that please get in touch with our Deputy Consul General Rajesh Naik, who is actually coordinating this with the state governments. dcg.sf@mea.gov.in.
So I'll put my email ID once again in the chat group so everyone can follow that.
Yeah. Thanks.
CG, thank you. We are going to the last question here, but I just want to ask, I know we all know that you have another important meeting coming up immediately. Do you think it will be a good idea for your team to stay back to probably answer a couple of the questions? Is that possible at all?
They have to actually join me there. Okay, but I have sent a message saying that I'll be joining 5 minutes late. So they are waiting. So
Okay.
we can wind up in 5 minutes. So you ask the question quickly if we can do it.
The last selected question is coming from former Western Region Convention Chairman Anthony Illicatil from Palo Alto.
Thank you, Ajay. Good afternoon. My question is that there are many international people working a small type of job, like restaurant or Indian grocery store with the expired passport, or they overstayed behind their US visa terms under moral ground, and the current situation. Can Consulate offer any help to renew their passport?
Renew their passport or?
Yeah, renew their passport because their passport is expired.
No,
at least they get some. At least they get some legal paper.
No, how could the passport expire? Is it related to the current because of the COVID pandemic that they overstayed?
No.
Sir, can I just step in if you permit me, sir? Sir, it's a case pertaining to people who've been working in some small-time, part-time jobs and whose passport has expired, and technically their visa has also expired, and technically they're out of status. Sir, actually, status is a must. Legal status is a must for a renewal of passport to help you to continue your stay in this country. If at all such people want to go back to India, we can give them a one-time emergency certificate, emergency passport to return to India. But if they want to continue to stay here in United States, a valid legal visa status is a must. So
there are several questions, I believe, which have been put together, which you can pose. So can I request that Deputy Consul General Rajesh Naik and Consul Community Affairs Sumathi Rao, if they could stay on with you for the next 10-15 minutes maximum, so that they could join me later in the other meeting. But I'll have to leave now.
Absolutely.
Before you leave, I think Saju has to mention something about.
Yeah, just stay on for a few seconds, sir, if you can. Okay. Saju, please.
Good evening. Before you go, I would like to add one more thing. Some of us may know our Honorable Consulate General is moving to Turkey to take on another diplomatic assignment as ambassador. I would like to thank you for your extraordinary service as a Consulate General of San Francisco. During your time, you have spent a considerable amount of time getting to know our community, and you are always ready to assist with any of our community issues and needs. On behalf of FOMA and the Malayali community in West Coast, we would like to wish you all the best, and we hope you see you back to US for a future assignment. Thank you again, sir. It was a good partnership working with the US Consulate on behalf of Malayali community and with you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate and for this very kind words and thoughtful gesture. I know that I'm leaving prematurely. I'm just 1.5 years, but this is an important assignment, and as I like to say, I'm a foot soldier. So when the general decides, so you just follow instructions without asking any questions. So it's a very important relationship in Turkey, which I'm being sent. So I'll be ambassador there. But I want to tell you that I'll keep in touch, and I'll of course get to know, because this is where I came and I learned so much. It has been a great learning experience for me. And it's been great knowing all of you. It's such a vibrant community. And I just want to say something. Keep your links alive with India. And these are difficult times, but at the same time, whatever, whenever you can do for the country, and I would urge all of you to contribute, even in the smallest of way, to be part of India's growth story and to help meet India's development challenges. So that will be a big contribution that you all can make from here. Thank you very much. I beg your leave now. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
So, Srijit.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Saju.
Thank you.
So we'll continue with a few more questions
from the chat.
Yeah, you are welcome. Me and Sumathi madam, we are here. We are happy to answer some of those queries.
Absolutely.
You're most welcome with your questions.
Yeah, so I think we'll ask what we have received from the chat. So one of this, when will bookings for Vande Bharat mission next phase start?
Yeah, actually we are waiting for the modalities to be confirmed, the seat sharing, the other details, whether there will be domestic linkages provided, whether what will be the sanitation measures and all those things. That's being worked out, and soon, probably next week or so, early next week or so, there may be some announcement from from Delhi regarding commercial booking. It's a tough thing, Air India is taking utmost care that everyone should get a fair chance to book the tickets. It's not that some people should get the advantage of being known to Air India for a very long time. That's one thing. Secondly, since this will be a centralized booking, the software may get a overload from different parts of the world. Those precautions are all being taken. That's why it's taking a bit of a time, but we are hoping by early next week we'll have specific details in this regard.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. There is a question here from the chat. How can Consulate reduce the complexity associated with OCA and visa renewals for minors and senior citizens? I believe they're asking about the duration, if possible.
Yeah. What happens is OCI is a kind of a one-time process. The first card takes 40 days, because whatever data we collect, it has certain security features built into it. It has to go back to Delhi. The card gets printed from there. It has to come, and then this is the procedure. I mean, from keeping the security issues, all those in mind. So this is what Delhi has decided. But the renewal takes hardly 2 weeks. Within 14 days, we are able to renew the cards. But please, I would seek your appreciation and understanding when a procedure is adopted. When what happens at the government or the administration's point of view is to ensure that the security is intact. We have to deal with all sorts of cases. So we cannot have a measure that will compromise security in any way. That's why it is taking some time. The only solution to this is to apply OCI well in advance. Under normal circumstances, if you need a visa, in lieu of OCI cards, definitely we are always there to help you with the emergency visas as well.
Okay. Rajesh sir, there is a question on the chat. The Minister of Civil Aviation tweeted that private airlines will be allowed soon in addition to the Air India to bring the citizen to India. Is it going to happen or any details, sir?
So he has made it very clear, will be allowed and soon. These are the operative words. So we are waiting details on these two operative words. When will and how soon.
Okay, thank you, sir. I think another question is, can PIO card holders, are they eligible to travel to India as part of these evacuation flights?
I guess my answer is no at the moment, but I would request Sumathi madam to supplement.
So PIO card holders could also travel, but they have to meet the same 4 conditions that are required for OCI card holders.
Right.
So the 4 conditions that are applicable for OCI card holders are also applicable for PIO card holders.
Understood.
I hope you know the 4 conditions. A, has to be a minor child of Indian parents, has to be a student whose parents are residents of India, an Indian whose one spouse is a PIO card holder, and for those who have to travel to India in an emergency like death. So these are the 4 conditions that OCI card holders have to meet, and these are the 4 conditions that PIO card holders will have to meet. For all practical purposes, Rajesh, I think you will bear with me that PIO and OCI is the same because the 2 schemes
That's great.
But of course, the PIO has to be a valid PIO or cannot be an expired.
Expired. Okay, understood. Thank you.
Yeah, one question here. If I understood this correctly, if I want to apply for OCI, somebody who hasn't applied for a while, they have to get the Indian citizenship renunciation certificate. But if the old Indian passport is lost, what can they do?
Please bring those issues to our notice. I mean, you apply for renunciation, you mention these things and submit a statement in that regard. If you need any specific document that, maybe you have to register a police complaint or get a so-called first information. If you attach those things,
can I interject? Actually, yes. If you don't have your Indian passport, you need to give 2 other proofs of Indian origin. Either you should have a birth certificate or you should have a school leaving certificate, or basically 2 other documents if you don't have an Indian passport. Is that correct, Rajesh?
Yeah, that is true, madam, but it's specific to a lost passport case. Yes. I believe a police complaint is a must because what people sometimes miss to understand that the passport all over the world is a government property. And potential misuse of the passport, the government has to ensure, all governments. So whenever there is a case of lost passport, a police complaint is a must. It's in the interest of everybody, the individual and also the government at large. But specific issues, please write to us. We'll come back. I've mentioned the email ID oci2.sf@mea.gov.in. Any specific issues, any out of the turn exceptional cases, write to us. We will come back with specific details. We make a great effort in considering each case in different with different criteria so that we can respond to your specific queries. So details, please share with us. We'll definitely answer all your concerns and queries.
Thank you, sir. Another question here. This is coming you here repeatedly. Parents who are stuck here who came on B2 visa and going to be out of status. Can they apply to embassy for visa extension? Can embassy help with visa extension?
Yeah,
no,
our answers.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, madam, please go ahead.
No, see, visa extension cannot be applied with the consulate because consulate is not issuing the US visa, correct? So you have to apply to the agency that has given the US visa. So they will have to apply with USCIS for extension of their stay.
Got it.
Yeah, I mean, if you need guidance on how to apply it, USCIS and all that, please write to us, OCI2. Our people will share the details. You can go to their website, US Immigration Services website, and then apply for extension.
Okay. Sir, thank you. I know we are pressed on time, so we'll wrap up. So we do have some questions. So one request is if we can compile these and send it to you. Can you maybe in the next few days, if you can at least pick some and answer those, we can at least back to the people. Okay. So for the benefit. Okay. Go ahead, sir.
Please do share those questions. I could only see it in the chat window here. Please also share the the individual's email ID and other specific details, so we can just write to them, reply to them with specific answers and details that they need. Yes.
Absolutely. So, I think for the benefit of the audience, for individual questions with individual nature, we can do that, and for generalized questions, if we can just combine some of those and get the answers, we can publicly, make it available as well. Okay.
One question here, which may be pertinent. Can the consulate provide the link to the actual Vande Bharat mission flight schedule? Can consulate have it in the website?
It is on our website.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, all information, everything that is an update is there on our website, including the schedule of flights, the fact that the OCI extension has been till December 31st. Everything's on our website.
Okay.
The registration.
Yeah, please follow us. Any queries? I mean, the email is the best window. We have round the clock people teams working 24/7. As of now, I'm speaking, we have some 20 emails to be answered, just 20, out of hundreds of emails we're getting every day. And we have also made effort to reach out to linguistic group. If like senior Malayali citizen is stuck here, we make people at our consulate to speak to them in Malayalam, with Punjabi community people, so that they feel reassured that their grievances is heard and an honest effort is made in addressing it. So any queries, write to us, write to OCI, write to me specifically. I've shared my email ID also. We'll definitely take it up. We'll come back with a
Just two questions I find are coming repeatedly on the chat. One is, what is the email address? Please go to our website. All officers' email addresses are given on our website. Secondly, I think there are a lot of questions, people asking whether OCI cardholders can travel. Yes, they can travel. And I have enumerated the 4 conditions under which they can travel, but they have to register. The link of that registration is also on our website. So I would urge everyone, please do go to our website and see what the updates are. You will get answers to most of your questions on our website.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks a lot for staying back 15 minutes and going late to that meeting. Thank you. Thanks. So I think this time we go to the vote of thanks. To express our sincere word of thanks, we welcome the former Western Region Vice President, Mr. Joseph Auso.
Hello, good evening, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
All right. Okay. Wonderful. I'd like to thank you, dear Honorable Ambassador Sanjay Panda, Consulate General, and Mr. Rajesh Naik, Deputy Consul General, Madam Sumathi Rao Naik, former executive lead by our President, Mr. Philip Chamathil, Dallas, Secretary Joseph Abraham, New York, Shinu Joseph, New York, Vice President Vincent Bose Matthew, Saju Joseph, Jane Matthew, and National Committee, Sijil Palaglodil, and Jose Vadagara. Thank you all for keeping the time in time and enjoying the meeting. I'd like to say a few more things. Western region, we have 11 wonderful associations. I'd like to thank you all, wonderful President, Secretary, Treasurer, and all other committee waiting really peacefully. And Western Region Task Force, Mr. John Paul, Chairman, and former National Coordinator, Mr. G.B. Thomas, Youth Coordinator, our Angela Graffi, and recently she got a doctorate. Congratulations, Angela. Also, many people worked behind this, as Saju Joseph, Otis Johnson, and Paul John, Sam Umman, Manga President Surjit, Bay Malayali Libon, Arizona Association President Sajid, and around 500 people in this Zoom meeting today. I thank you all from bottom of my heart. Your time, energy, effort, and enthusiasm made us this Zoom meeting wonderful and successful. Thank you all from bottom of my heart, as well as from Western region for my leaders. God bless. Jai Hind.
Thank you, Sanjay. Also, I just want